when, kind of what is your basic Pokemon journey?
The first time I became aware of Pokemon, it was actually through Super Smash Brothers. Did the Grass type challenge. I kind of framed it like kind of story where I'm Erica's younger brother, Eric.
You did get also through a Gen 5 playthrough recently. What were some of your favorite moments of the playthrough?
The Pokemon I was most excited about using was Electros. Back when I did Sun and Moon battles, I used Chestnut, and it was just to try out different starters. And I realized that thing was like really bulky. It could come in on so much and just take hits.
What's really interesting is, especially for those that have the ×4 weakness to like whatever, can Terra and get rid of that disadvantage immediately. Like in our draft league, I was facing, a Zygarde. I brought my Ice Moves, because I was like, okay, we can take care of that easily there. And he Terra Normaled on me, and I was in a horrible situation. He's already going competitive side, man. He's like, okay, knocked out.
He's already building teams out and everything. I love it. Hey everyone, welcome to the Skill Link podcast, where we chat and get to know passionate content creators, competitive players, and all voices who continue to make the Pokemon community incredible. And today's guest is no exception. He posts some incredible Pokemon content on YouTube where he plays through some of our favorite games, highlights competitive strategies and online battles, and everything in between. It's Pokemon Master, MrChabry. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, doing great.
Nice.
There we go. Yeah.
We're psyched. I heard Logan chatting to you before we hit record here, but I actually came across you through. So do you follow PokeDad on Twitter or X? I guess it's called now. Or
I think I might have. I usually don't remember who I'll follow on there. Usually I kind of scroll through. If there's some content I like, I'll just click follow. But I'm not going. I don't remember.
I think, or maybe you don't follow, or maybe you just came across one of his posts, but he was like, hey, let's highlight some like underrated channels out there. And I was just surfing through because we interviewed him a few weeks back. He does some fun like AI Pokemon tournament stuff. And you were in the responses and you're like, yeah, the algorithm has been kind of weird for me lately. And I'm like, dude, let's go check him out. I don't know when that was. I mean, that was a couple months ago. And I just started binging some of your videos. And I'm like, this is like really, I mean, it's bingeable. It's digestible. It's fun. You clearly know your stuff. And I'm like, let's see if we can find a way to just like, I mean, I couldn't find any other way to get to get in contact with you. So we're like, let's comment on his videos and see if we can get his attention. And so yeah, we're excited. Super excited.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Yeah. This is an honor.
For sure.
Yeah, no worries. Anytime. And honestly, like one of the things that we cut before we get into the Pokemon stuff, we want to kind of get to know you just a little bit more. And so we're wondering, when you have a day free, when you have a weekend, or just kind of a time that you don't have anything else going on, what do you like to do for fun? What do you like to do? Relax, kind of chill, and have a good time.
Usually, what I'll do is I'll hang out with my wife Jessie, and we have a lot of shared hobbies that we'll do. The most common thing I'll probably be doing myself is playing Pokemon games, whether it be revisiting an old game or even just going on Showdown and just doing like random battles. That's usually what I do as like a time waster. Just go in, just do some random battles. That way, you get to try out different Pokemon that normally you want to try. And the thing that I've been doing a lot lately on Showdown is the randomized free-for-all. That's been the thing that I've been really gravitating towards.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Any Nintendo game I'd play. Recently, Jessie, my wife, she got Super Mario Wonder, so we've been playing that.
I've heard good things.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's like a really fun game. It's like you get these little Wonder Seeds, and it completely changes the whole level. And each level has like different Wonder Seeds that completely shifts the entire level.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I gotta say quick. We might have more in common than you realize. My wife's name is Jessie too. So you said that. I'm like, you're like describing my average like weekday afternoon. We'll get home from work or whatever. We'll be hanging out, and she's like, I'm like, is tonight a night where we're gonna like hang out and watch something or do something? And she's like, no, I'm going to go read a book or something. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go play some Pokemon or just like put something on in the background and break my Switch out. So you're describing an ideal, night here for us over here. So
that's funny. Yeah. My wife, Jessie, she will open up a book. We recently just got back from the library and she came back with like a whole stack of books that she's wanting to read throughout the week.
That's
That's
like
awesome.
my
Yeah.
wife's been getting back into reading too, and I've been impressed, honest, and it's been inspiring me to get back into reading. I don't know if you guys have read Brandon Sanderson before,
Oh yeah.
but I've been recently getting really into his books, and I've had a lot of fun with like kind of the heavy fantasy kind of stuff that he does. It's a good
Yeah.
time. Like reading's fun, and then obviously some Pokemon. You mentioned the random battles
Mhm.
on Showdown, and it always makes me remember the time. So Josh and I met each other while we were working at a suit store. We were sold suits together,
Mhm.
and when it was slow, we'd get on the computer and we learned that we both like Pokemon, and so we would do random battles when there was nobody in the store, and we would like because there's always those people who, on Showdown who like to smack talk randomly or whatever. So
Yeah, yeah.
we would just like put in like Thanos and Darth Sidious quotes against them whenever we did. It was a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Yeah, stuff like I'm inevitable, or I don't know, just being funny with it. But yeah,
It was
that's
so
cool.
funny.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Also, piggybacking off that, another thing that Jesse and I do as a hobby is we watch movies a lot.
Yeah,
And
Nice.
the big ones that we've been watching is the Marvel movies. Our first date
Beautiful.
was actually Iron Man, so
nice.
Ooh,
yeah, so
very nice.
we've been keeping up with Marvel since then.
Sweet.
I'm curious. Have you seen the newest Captain Marvel then yet? Or I haven't seen it yet. I actually kind of like. I wasn't a huge fan of the first one, but I'm kind of curious to see if this one is better. I actually like Miss Marvel a lot, the TV show.
Yeah,
Um, with I can't remember. Is it Kamala? Is that her name?
yeah, Kamala
Kamala
Khan,
Khan.
yeah.
Yeah. So I really like that one. So I was curious to see if you've seen that one. But if not, no worries. I was just curious.
Oh no, we saw it. Yeah, I liked it. I know a lot of people are like leaving like negative reviews, but Jesse and I we liked it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Really, Kamala Khan is kind of the glue that holds that movie together.
yeah.
Okay.
I heard good things, so I think we want to take a look at it. I mean, we really enjoyed. Obviously, I mean, Loki season 2 is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Really enjoyed that. So, yeah, it's good to hear. I've heard some, aside from the negative review bombs of that, we wanted to
Mhm.
see it. So we've heard from like family and friends. We have heard good things. So that's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Also looking
Nice.
forward to What If coming out season 2
Oh
will
yeah,
be great.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's this month. That's right around the corner.
yeah.
Mhm.
The first
Mhm.
season
Yeah,
of that
it's
was
gonna be
really
good.
cool. The first couple episodes really blew me away. Where I was like, yeah, this is good. I like
Mhm.
this.
Mhm.
So I would like to see that kind of explored maybe in some other franchises. I know
Mhm.
Marvel is like really good for that because there's already the whole idea of the multiverse, and I'm also a big Star Wars fan, so I'd love to see something like that in Star Wars. Even though I know Star Wars is kind of a totally different feel from the Marvel universe, but I mean, there's some
Mhm.
really fun what ifs you can do with that. You can do a ton of what ifs with a lot of different
Different franchises.
fantasy
Yeah.
franchises. Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that's sweet.
One
What
way
kind of
Pokemon did it with the like with the Mega Evolution branch, right? Like in Oros, they mentioned that
Oh
it's
yeah.
basically a different
yeah
timeline. So it's like
Yeah.
Pokemon just need. I kind of think Pokemon needs to follow that thread a little bit more, like just the
Yeah.
what happened in this universe. Like maybe Red never became champion, or something like that, and then that would
Yeah.
just spur a whole bunch of things, right?
Yeah. They could even do that as like a like an anime series too.
yeah
Uh-huh.
yeah.
That'd be really cool.
That would be cool.
I would even take like some shorts because I don't know if you've seen like on the official Pokemon YouTube channel, like the Pokemon Generations and
Mhm.
all those. I mean, like really high quality, like just a different animation style from the actual official show. And there's some really cool ones, and they're a little grittier. They're a little darker than the actual anime.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like the one with based off of Alpha Sapphire, where they wake up Kyogre, and it's
Oh
Primal
yeah.
Kyogre,
Ooh.
and
Yeah.
it's like flying through the air. It's going super fast. It's vicious and powerful, and at the end, it attacks the submarine that Archie and all of them are on. And I'm like, did I just watch people die?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like that was crazy, man. So and then
Yeah.
right now they're doing I don't know if you've seen it, but they're doing like it's called Paldean Winds. Just more like anime shorts, but they're based off of Gen 9, and I think they have 3
Mhm.
episodes out right now. The third one just came out a little bit ago.
Mhm.
And they're great. I mean, I love that kind of thing. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. I might check that out. I haven't seen those.
Yeah, it's just Paldean Winds. It's they might even have a playlist for it on the official YouTube channel, but I think
I believe
there's
they
like
do,
3
yeah.
episodes out right now. Yeah, just
Yeah.
YouTube Paldean Winds, and it's pretty cool. So nice. Well, we want to ask you as well. Obviously, cool thing with Pokemon, and as we've kind of gone through generations, gotten more games, gotten more regions. It's cool to see
Mhm.
them draw inspiration from different like real world places. Obviously, Paldea heavy on the
Mhm.
Spanish influence. Galar
Yeah.
was pretty clear, United Kingdom. Where is somewhere in the world that you and Jesse would like to visit if you haven't visited there already?
Oh, somewhere like to visit, as in like in a Pokemon game or in real life.
No, in real life, yeah.
In
Like,
real
you
life.
guys get to pack up and go somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, she is really wanting to go to Rome in Italy and look
Ooh,
around there. She
yeah,
really wants to see Pompeii. That's the big thing she really wants
Nice.
to see.
that's super cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
my wife is in Italy. We're planning Italy someday too.
yeah, yeah. I know. Last year we got to go to Paris together.
Oh, that's so
Nice. That's sweet.
Yeah, yeah. See, I actually went to Paris with my high school because I was in the French club, and that was
Oh,
one of the
nice.
things they let us do. And when I met Jessie, she was so excited to listen to me talk about Paris, and I told her, I promised her that I would take her to Paris too. And last year I fulfilled that promise.
very nice.
Nice.
Yeah,
What was your favorite part? I'm just curious of Paris.
so my favorite part of going up there was the I like the Palace of Versailles. That's always been my favorite. It's just
Yeah.
so
Okay.
huge, so grandeur, and then they have the whole garden in the back. That's just you could be there hours and still not see everything. We actually didn't
yeah.
get to see all of the garden, so there's that. Her favorite was the Eiffel Tower.
That's cool.
Yeah. See, I told her that, in person, like seeing pictures of it doesn't do it justice because of how big it is. It's just
Right.
so
Uh-huh.
enormous. So when she saw it, she was just like, wow, you weren't kidding.
That's awesome. I don't know if you guys have so I mean I have two little girls, so we watch right now she's really into Miraculous, the stories of like Cat Noir and Ladybug. It's like a kid it's
Oh,
actually
yeah.
a really good show. I like it a lot, but it takes place in France. So I'm like France would be really fun to just go visit just because there's like the Eiffel Tower. I think there's like you said, I mean there's a lot of cool cultural locations and just cool things that like I feel like aren't really because like obviously the Eiffel Tower is the main attraction, but there's obviously those like cool kind of under unknown like locations that are
Yeah.
awesome to see and like once you
Yeah.
kind of get some more information you get to see some really cool stuff, so that's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, they have so much there. It's just so much that you can experience.
Mhm.
That's really
That's
really
sweet.
cool.
Yeah.
Now getting into Pokemon, we were just kind of curious, what got you into the games, when kind of what is your basic Pokemon journey?
Yeah. So the first time I became aware of Pokemon, it was actually through Super Smash Brothers.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I
Yeah,
love it.
so me and my dad, we would play the Nintendo 64 all together, all the time, and we rented some games. One of those was Smash Brothers, and I was looking through the characters, and I noticed some of them I didn't recognize, and one of them that I specifically remember not recognizing was Pikachu. So
Nice.
it was about a week later, my dad called me into the living room and he's like, "Hey, remember that Pikachu character? There's a show on TV with him." So I watched the Pokemon anime. It was the episode where Ash battles Misty. So I got to see that,
Oh,
see like how
okay.
Pokemon battles work. I was like, "Wow, this is great." And
Yeah.
then later on, we found Pokemon Yellow, and they actually got me that for Christmas that year. So I was hooked from then.
Nice.
That's super cool. Pokemon Yellow was my first game too.
Mm.
And so, I love that. I love that. Like, I mean, like you just saying that you didn't even know who Pikachu was is like nowadays is probably like a crazy thing to say, but
Yeah.
that's just so cool that like, and I love the 64 Smash Bros is a classic by all means, and so I just kind of love that introduced you to the Pokemon series. That's so cool.
Hmm. Yeah, that was where I first became aware of it. And then, of course, after that, I was just hooked. I was just
Yeah.
hooked on Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, later, I got a copy of Pokemon Blue. Uh, Later on, I finally. So yeah, what happened was, when Generation 2 came out, I wasn't really keeping up with news or anything. And my cousin, actually, it was his birthday party, and he got Pokemon Silver for his birthday, and everyone just kind of sat around watching him play. And what I noticed was like, oh, this guy has his hat backwards. I can't do that in my game. This is crazy. How do you do that? And then all the Pokemon were in color, So we were all just sitting around watching him play, just mesmerized by, Generation 2, and I ended up getting
Yeah,
Pokemon Silver too. Yeah.
that's
That's
super
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's cool. Now it's cool that once you're a kid and once you get hooked and you're in it, and then you're like, wait, they make more of these like every 3 or 4 years. And then I just remember
Yeah.
like the coolest thing is once you got hooked, and then they like announce a new generation, and then like the excitement of seeing like the starters get dropped, and then like waiting for the
Uh-huh.
Pokemon leaks, and then you get like an entire new. Yeah, I man, it's yeah. There's nothing like it. And I still get excited obviously to this day, but
Mhm.
after being hooked on. Oof. I mean, gold, silver, like between gold, silver, crystal, and heading into ruby, sapphire, emerald was when I was aware of it when I was younger, but like those like my
Mhm.
first games playing, and then so once I was hooked, I just remember being so excited for the subsequent generations, and it's cool, man.
Mhm.
It's really fun to hear everyone's journey with that, and now kind of pivoting into your to some of your recent content and what you've been pumping out. It's like I said, it's really fun to watch. You do a nice
Yeah.
variety of stuff
Thank you.
between like competitive battles, between casual playthroughs. I think that's a really fun. It's good for people, whatever their niche is and whatever their preference is. And that's another cool thing about Pokemon is that people can play it super casually, or you can get
Mhm.
like really nitty gritty on the competitive side of things with held items, natures, abilities, all that. It's really fun. But one thing I thought was cool was your most recent video. I want to hear some of your inspiration behind it, where you take Pokemon Blue, but then you take it on as a grass type gym leader. That was a super fun idea, and it's always a
Yeah.
blast to go back and look at Gen 1 in contrast to like you used to Gen 5, a black playthrough, or Gen 9 with all of
Mhm.
its warts and quirks. It's a game held together by Scotch tape and a dream.
Yeah.
But it was fun to watch. So tell us more about the inspiration behind that recent video.
Yeah, so before I've been, doing some different like Pokemon challenge videos where I would use one Pokemon to play through a game. But then I had this idea. Why don't I just, limit myself to one type and just kind of frame it as, okay, I'm doing this as a, gym leader. And the first one I did in that vein was a fire type gym leader.
Okay.
So I started out with Charmander, I got Charizard, eventually I got a Moltres, and I really enjoyed doing that, kind of limiting myself to just one type. So I decided, hey, I'm going to keep doing that, but I'm going to have like a poll on my channel to decide what's going to be the next type. And the first one that won that poll was the grass type. So
Yeah.
Very cool.
I went in, did the grass type challenge. I kind of framed it like kind of story where, okay, I'm Erica's younger brother, Eric,
Nice.
Uh-huh.
and I'm challenging her to take on the gym. And I kind of framed the rival as, okay, I'm going to name him Green, and he wants to be the grass type gym leader. So that way, it
Yeah.
has like the story beat. Whenever he sees me, it's because he's wanting to challenge me to become the gym leader. And I even had the part like because there's that part in there when you go to Saffron City and you have to fight Team Rocket there. The rival is just randomly there with Team Rocket and doesn't make sense in the
Yeah.
actual playthrough. So at that point, I'm like, hey, here's Green. He's so angry that I've taken on the role as gym leader. He's joined Team Rocket. I'm going to teach him that crime doesn't pay. So just kind of finding little ways to kind of frame the story where it kind of makes more sense than it normally does in Pokemon Red or Pokemon Blue or Yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
Yeah, and the next type that I'm going to do is a water type.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, so the water
So
type.
all three starters.
Yeah, so yeah, that's going to be the first three types. I start with fire, went to grass. Now I'm
Yeah.
doing water, and I think looking at the two types, I think fire was easier than grass because grass types there's a lot of them that kind of struggle in the game.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Who did you notice that kind of struggled the most? Was there anyone that kind of surprised you when you were going through that? Where you're like, oh man, this is kind of tough to find good uses for.
it was Tangela.
Yeah.
I was like,
Okay.
I'm gonna try Tangela, see how it works, and it just couldn't hold up at all.
Right.
I tried to level it up, and it's just trying to even battle, lower level trainers to level up Tangela. It still wasn't performing there.
Yeah.
I will say the one that kind of surprised me was Victory Bell.
Yeah.
Oh,
Victory
okay.
Bell's sweet.
Now I was thinking, okay, Executor is the one that in Generation 1 people say is one of the top competitive Pokemon. Obviously, Executor is going to be my MVP in the late game, but when I got to the late game, Executor was underperforming, and Victory Bell was the one that was just going in and just knocking things out on its own.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so when I got to the Elite Four, what I decided to do is, okay, I've got Growth, but I've got Razor Leaf, and Razor Leaf, has a high crit chance, and in Generation 1, whenever you crit, it doesn't calculate your stat boosts when you crit. So I ended up taking away Razor Leaf, and I put on Solar Beam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I ended up the Elite Four. I just went in there with Growth, and when I got to the Champion Battle, I maxed out my Growth and just started spamming Solar Beam on everything.
Yeah,
that's dope. The grass run is also really interesting because late game battles with your rival are incredibly difficult because it's not just that single type, like that single type resistance. You got that double resistance with the fire flying and Charizard. And what else? What else does he have? Does he still have? He's got a Gyarados with. Does he have a Gyarados with the Charizard?
Yeah. Charizard, Gyarados, and then who's the grass type? He has an Executor, right? He has an Executor.
Yeah. It is Executor. Yeah. And then plus he's got that Pidgeot too, so
yeah.
That's what he leads
so
off
it
with.
really kind of sets you up to a really difficult because grass is interesting in the first generation because it kind of leads you to a pretty decent early game because you're rock, water, and then electric. But then getting to the later games, you have like the poison, you have the fire gym, and also your rival gets to a stronger standpoint against the grass type itself, which is that's really interesting. Kind of see that challenge kind of in the later game as well.
Well, you also get painted into a corner with the with Team Rocket too, with all the poison types and like Zubat and Golbat and stuff like that. And obviously, if you get on the cycling road, all the motorcyclists usually just have Coffeens and Grimers and all that. So,
and Sabrina too. I forgot about Sabrina too because
a lot of
a lot of the grass types are
that's a good challenge. I like that.
It's like that's what I kind of saw, that the fire type, it kind of struggled in the beginning because you've got Brock and then you've got Misty, but then the fire type later on in the late game way easier than the grass type.
Remind me. So in the fire run, because you can't really find many fire types before, those are kind of a late game kind of find generally. So did you just kind of run with Charmander for a little bit, or what was how did you kind of handle that?
Yeah. For a big chunk of the run, it was just Charmander. And then, eventually I got to where I could catch Growlithe. I got the Eevee, and I evolved that into Flareon. Yeah, so once I got to where I could, I started adding to it. One thing I kind of didn't realize is that Magmar is in Pokemon Blue. So so I was wanting to use Magmar, but when I got to the mansion, I looked, I was like, oh, it's not in here.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you really only have like your starter, Rapidash line, Growlithe line, and Flareon. And then is that really the main? There's not really many more than that, huh? In the Gen 1.
Not really.
I got Vulpix, Ninetales.
I did get
Vulpix,
Moltres.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, like, you really did have some limited options for that run too. That's really interesting. Kind of like in kind of seeing that in kind of full spectrum. That's really cool.
Yeah. I am excited for the water type one because I've kind of got my idea. Okay, these are the Pokemon I do want to use, and there's some on that list that I haven't really got to use before. So I'm excited on trying some of those Pokemon out.
Nice.
Yeah, that's super cool. Kind of, also kind of looking at some of your most recent content. You did get also through a Gen 5 playthrough recently. I was just kind of wondering how was it to revisit that generation, and kind of what were some of your favorite moments of the playthrough?
Oh, I do love Generation 5. It's that was one of my favorite generations to play through, and on my channel I've got different playthroughs, And I was looking at it, I was like, I don't have any playthrough for any Generation 5 game, so I want
Oh,
to play
wow.
through, Pokemon Black and White. Um, I think my favorite thing about doing that playthrough is kind of planning out the team and deciding, okay, who do I want to use? Kind of how do I want to trade out my team so that way
Mhm.
I can maximize my kind of my coverage options. The Pokemon I was most excited about using was Electros.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it was
No
like
weaknesses.
yeah,
Yeah, no
that
weaknesses.
was a Pokemon I'd never actually used on an in-game team, and I was like, hey, I've been wanting to use this thing, and it's great. So I'm gonna make sure that I find a place on my team for that.
Yeah. It evolves by Thunderstone. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
That's cool.
yeah, and it's hard to find a Dynamo because you have to go down into the bottom floor, and you have to like encounter so many because it's like a rare find in
Yeah.
Chargestone Cavern.
Charge Dunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a cool. It's such a. I think that's one thing I really like about Gen 5, and that kind of bleeds into our next question. Is like I think Gen 5, both the game itself and the generation as a whole, is probably, in my opinion, one of the more unique ones. I think you can make an argument for being the most unique generation because
Mm.
the Pokemon themselves, the levels at which they evolve, the construct of like the gyms, the way the Elite Four looks, the story, all of that. I think it makes for a really beautiful and really unique experience. Especially, we've said this before on other episodes. Um, Gen 5, they really tried to make um, this unique experience. I know for Black and White, you can't encounter any non-Unova Pokemon until you beat the
Mm-hmm.
game. Like just
Yeah.
Black and White's all Unova Pokemon. There's no previous Pokemon because Diamond and Pearl, you can still catch your Geodudes, you can still catch a Zubat or whatever. There's still that bleed through. But in Gen 5, they kind of just toss you right into it to get some kind of new experience. So tell us your overall thoughts of the region, the Gen 5 games as a whole, any favorite Pokemon. Any favorite cities, gyms, Elite Four members? I think the Elite Four looks really cool. And then you can
Yeah,
go through a castle, like you're traversing a castle. I mean, it's
Yeah.
cool. It's a
Yeah,
fun
that's
game. So,
awesome.
anyways,
Yeah, I do think that's one of the stronger Elite Fours because it's so unique. Yeah, when I first played through Pokemon White, that was the first one that I actually got. I was I thought it was like such a unique experience, and that
yeah,
actually came, after a time that when I was younger, I kind of stepped away from Pokemon for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it was actually Soul Silver that brought me back, but then here, Pokemon White, this is the new experience for me. And I feel like they really did do a good job at giving a new experience with the
yeah,
Pokedex. It felt like, oh, this feels like the first time I played through Yellow. I'm finding all these new Pokemon I've never seen before.
right.
Yeah.
I'm not finding any Pokemon that were already I was familiar with. It was just totally new Pokemon. I think my favorite town in all of Unova would be Driftvale City.
Oh, Driftville iconic, dude. The
Okay. Yeah.
theme,
Mm-hmm.
it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, yeah, that music, it's like really like on my phone. I've got like playlists of music, and I used to just when I was younger, I'd listen to Driftvale City on repeat. That was kind of
Nice.
my
So cool.
So good. It's such a jam.
yeah,
It's such a jam.
yeah. That was kind of my like
It's
get pumped up and energized song.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm trying to remember. I remember. Is it Gen 5 that the music is dynamic too? I can't remember exactly what it is, but like there's certain things that you can do where like the music will slightly change depending on like I can't remember what it is. Let me look it up really quick.
Yeah.
Because there's
Well,
something.
there is the red bar music where when you get low health, the battle theme will change. Is that
Yeah,
what you're
yeah.
talking about?
Oh, that might be it. Let me look it
Okay.
up really quick. But
I-
also like I mean I just feel like Gen 5 did a lot of unique things. Like I mean that was the first one with seasons like
Yeah.
actually being
Yep.
integrated into the game. And I feel like I was talking we had a conversation with a person last week who he's doing a Gen 3 his own Gen 3 remakes because he didn't love Oros. And one of
Oh,
the things
yeah.
that he mentioned there is the camera angle of Oros kind of felt like it kind of killed some of the magic of the games. And I was chatting with my brother about that, and I was like, I really feel like Gen 5 like nailed the camera,
The camera
like
system.
because like it was just like it makes it so interesting because it's still that 2D, but then like you have like some of these big cities where you get that 3D almost environment, right?
Oh, yeah. Like Castelia City. That was a big one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let me hurry and look this up. Gen 5 music change. And we can come back to it. I'll look this up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
What? Yeah. I and honestly, there's like just a lot of really good Pokemon in the region too. I mean, you mentioned Electros. You have like really cool like I don't know if I should say traditional looking Pokemon, but more like beast looking Pokemon like Haxorus, like Volcarona is a massive fire moth. But then you have really unique ones like Chandelure, where I'm like, dude, this is it's just cool. Like it's a ghost fire chandelier ceiling fixture thing, but it's really good and it's dope. And then you have like Kling Klang, and then you have like another cool like animalistic one in Galvantula. Like I know Joltik Galvantula is a really popular Pokemon line as well. And then on top of that, you have some just iconic legendaries with Reshiram and Zekrom. The lore behind them is really cool. And then I mean just the climactic battle that you have your legendary, and then they have theirs at the end. It's just cool. I mean, and then obviously on top of that, another people really call back on Gen 5 is for the story itself. I know N's a fan favorite. It's a really well written story. It's a I know when I played through when I was younger. I mean, those games came out when I was like 14 or 15, and I was absolutely no shame still playing Pokemon when I was going through middle school and high school. But I was playing those, and I'm like, am I cruel with my Pokemon? Should I actually release them? Is Team Plasma right? Like it's like this big moral conundrum. And it's the first time that it was making me question it. Because like obviously before I'm like Team Rocket evil, Team Magma, Team Aqua evil, Team Galactic, Team Cyrus is psycho. But I'm like maybe N and Getsus have a point here.
Maybe
but it's cool.
Maybe they have a point. Yeah, and I do feel like Generation 5, like I think what cutscenes they do have in that generation, they nailed the cutscenes. I do feel like, looking at Sun and Moon Generation 7, I feel like they were a little too heavy on cutscenes. But I think Generation 5 was where they nailed the cutscenes.
They had some really good balance with them and everything, but it didn't like overweigh the storytelling. Yeah, that's cool. I did find it, by the way. But you go for it. You go for it, and then I'll see what I found.
I was just going to say, with the Unova Dex, it's really strong. I was going to say my favorite Unova Pokemon is Crocodile.
Yeah, that's another good one. That's a great one.
Excellent choice. Great shiny too, I feel like.
Really good shiny, yeah. That's awesome.
So with the music, this is some cool stuff. So it's a lot more than I was remembering. It's a music appreciation for Gen 5 just on Reddit that I found.
Okay.
The music changes when the player is moving. So like it'll add percussion while the player is moving.
Whoa.
There's also NPCs that are like musicians. So they play specific instruments. So like when you're standing near them, their like instrument gets added into the music, which is really cool. Another one is the dynamic theme that you guys were talking about, that it'll change, in the life or like things like that, right? Or when you're about to beat a gym leader, like when you're on the last Pokemon of a gym leader, the music gets even more hype, right? And then also the music changes depending on the season. And then in the caves, what's really cool is that it gets like slower and lower pitch the deeper you get into the cave.
Ooh,
I didn't realize any of this. That's cool.
I didn't realize that either. Like whenever I do because eventually I do want to do a Black 2 playthrough. I need to kind of listen to the music and kind of take note of that. That's like really cool. I didn't even realize it was that deep.
I remember that I'd heard about it, and that was one of the touches that I think I don't know. I feel like music, obviously, I mean, like we've all talked about this a little bit, but music is such an important part for these games, and so just those slight little touches of love, I think, really make Gen 5 shine even more. Just because I mean, like the story, like we mentioned, is amazing, and then just like those little touches of like love, from the creators, I just think are really cool.
Yeah, Generation 5, it's like one of those generations that I feel like really does hold up. I know when it came out, a lot of people were kind of dismissive of it. Yeah, it was so different.
I was one of them.
Yeah, but I think looking back, it's a generation that really does hold up with the best of them.
For sure.
I'm not gonna lie. I always thought Hippowdon came in at Gen 5. I totally did not know it came in Gen 4.
Yeah, Gen 4.
I was a dude. I remember learning that like last year. I was like, I am a noob in this universe. I don't know everything.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Kind of moving on, the past Let's Plays and things like that. You also are really extremely fun to watch in your Scarlet and Violet Wi-Fi battles that you partake of.
Oh, thank you.
Josh and I, we took a look at some of those and had a lot of fun kind of seeing what strategies you've taken care of and what ideas and things like that you've had while you're kind of preparing for these matches and kind of analyzing the different situations. We're just kind of curious, what is there any strategies or teams that have been some of your favorites that you've tried out, or is there kind of a competitive play style that you kind of prefer, and is there any other Pokemon that like specifically competitively that have kind of surprised you as you've kind of played in the competitive scene online?
I feel like my favorite strategy is to like try to whittle down the opponent and then get your sweeper in there, because when your sweeper is like sweeping, it just feels so satisfying.
It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And usually the Pokemon that I usually try to get in there to sweep is Typhlosion. That's my favorite Pokemon, and whenever that thing sweeps, it just feels that much more satisfying. Yeah.
That's so cool. That's why I think competitive battling, especially singles, is a lot like a chess checkers match, but with like crazy RNG on it, and then like a bunch of other factors, thrown in there, obviously. But I mean, so Logan and I, another thing we do is we're in a singles draft league with some friends where we have like 10 to 15 of us, and whenever a season rolls along, we're like, hey, who wants to play? And then we'll do like a regular season of singles, and then just do like a little casual postseason. But like, it's just crazy. You're going through, and all it is you're trying to set things up, and you're like, how can I get my win condition on the board? Like, how can I maneuver these pieces little by little to eventually get to where I want to go? And then when you actually pull it off, you're like, that felt so good.
Yeah.
That was so satisfying.
It just feels good.
Yeah, when you hit that win condition.
Yeah.
What about
you
go. Okay. I was just going to say, one of my favorite matches ever watching in our draft league specifically was the finals of our first season, where it was Josh versus his brother. And this crazy interaction happened because we did a Gen 5 season that first time. And Trick was very popular because, you could trick on the choice items to your opponent. And Josh at the time we had allowed like Soldu to be used on Latios, and so his brother brought Trick to get the Soldu off, and then like this crazy interaction happened where Josh like tricked, so the Pokemon that had tricked his Soldu on his brother's team had it, and then like somehow Josh maneuvered perfectly to where that Pokemon was going to trick the Soldu onto another Pokemon to make it useless and everything, but Josh like switched perfectly back into his Latios to get the Soldu back, and it was amazing. So I love that kind of environment of the game too.
Yeah. When you have plays like that, it just like those epic plays where every little factor just goes completely right. It just feels so good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
One of the cool things I noticed you were using Chestnut. Like, I was kind of curious, like, because Chestnut I feel like is kind of like never, like, I feel like its appreciation is never really fully realized. I'm kind of curious, like, maybe like how you thought of him and stuff like that.
Yeah. So the first time I used Chestnut on my team, it was like I think back when I did Sun and Moon battles. I used Chestnut, and it was just kind of just to try out different starters. And I realized that thing was like really bulky. Like it could come in on so much and just take hits. So I started using it more and more as my defensive wall, because it's way bulkier than a lot of people realize.
Yeah.
Plus, it has spiky shield. Yeah, it has spiky shield. You can set up leech seed. It just has such surviving potential.
For those at home who aren't aware, I have his stats pulled up. Chestnut has 122 base defense for its base defense at 122. Yeah. Through the roof.
That's not the highest starter, right?
For defense, it's probably up there. I wouldn't be surprised if that was honestly the most.
That's crazy,
defensive.
Actually.
Attack is 107, very respectable attack, and then it's got a decent. Obviously, it's slower, but it definitely has its niche.
HP?
Yeah, 88. It's about average. Yeah, it's not terrible.
Yeah, it's really good, and it's usually like a surprise if someone's not familiar. If they see Chestnut, they're like, "Oh, this is going to be easy. It's going to be easy just to knock it out." It actually has really good survivability.
Yeah, that's cool.
Super cool.
That's fun. Yeah, that's the thing. This Gen 9, I think it's been so chaotic and fun with the obviously like with the paradox Pokemon, with obviously the gimmick of terrestrialization in and of itself just makes for some really hectic but fun gameplays. And I feel like at first people were like, oh, this might be like a little too OP, but I think now that we've kind of settled in and we're like a year into the game, I really like Terra types. I don't know about you guys, but like I think it just kind of gives me like one more wrinkle and one more out. Whereas like I was recently just kind of super casually I've been replaying Shield, just doing a Nuzlocke. And I'm at the final tournament. I'm kind of painted into a corner because I have a lot of like weakness, like singular weakness on my team. Like I'm super weak to fire right now, and of course Leon has his Charizard. And I'm like, dude, this would be perfect if I just had like a Terra for something to Terra into another type. Yeah. So I don't know. I've really enjoyed it. I don't know what you guys think, but I think Terra's been it's been a hit for me. I think I like it more than Dynamaxing from the last generation.
Yeah, me too. I think I love Terra because it puts a wrinkle, but it's not an overpowering wrinkle.
Yeah, yep.
It's just
you have to really commit. Like once you Terra, like that's your Terra, and if it faints, then like your Terra's off the board. So I mean,
yeah.
It's good. I don't think it's too. We were talking to a VGC guy like who's gone to some like regionals and worlds and stuff like that, and he's like what I didn't like about Dynamaxing, for example, is that like the whole match is based around what you do with your 3 Dynamax turns and what they do with their 3 Dynamax turns, and that's kind of it. Yeah. And then Z Crystals was like kind of like a nerfed version of what Terra is, where it's just one turn, it's one nuke, but like you can get totally stuffed on it. If you don't like use it at the right time, which I get that there's mind games with that too. That's kind of the point. But I think Terra's a really good balanced gimmick for sure. So I echo what you were saying on that.
I think it does such a good job at making like almost every. I mean, obviously there's Pokemon that more viable competitive Pokemon, but like for example with the Chestnut example, right? Like he might not be like always your primary Terra typing one, but the thing is that what's really interesting is especially for those that have like 4 weaknesses, like the times 4 weakness to like whatever, you can Terra and get rid of that disadvantage immediately. And it like I know like in our draft league we were playing I was facing one of our guys in the league that had a Zygarde completely because we're doing Nat decks, and I brought my ice moves, because I was like, okay, we can take care of that easily there, and he Terra Normaled on me, and I was in a horrible situation. And like it was just like one of those things where it's like it can totally flip the game on its head if you're not prepared for it. And I still feel like I'm still kind of getting the hang of it, but I agree with you guys that I think Terra is an incredibly balanced. I mean, I know it's probably not going to stay forever, but I kind of like it, and I kind of wish that they keep something with it. Like maybe they have an item later on that can be something like that.
Do something similar.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I do feel like, going forward, once, Generation 10 and eventually 11, I do think Generation 9 is a generation that would be fun to always go revisit just for the Terra.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It just gives such a fun wrinkle that you can come in and completely change the game depending on what type you Terra into.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you as well, just some more wrinkles with the game. From your recent video, I know Brute Bonnet can be annoying to go get sometimes, and there's some other high usage metamons that can be difficult to handle as well. When you were at that team preview and you see a certain Pokemon, which Pokemon do you see that you just kind of roll your eyes about, or that you're like, okay, I got to really keep my eye out for that one, and if I beat that, then I think I have a good chance at finishing the game off. Is there anyone that's stood out to you lately?
Yeah, so if I go onto just a random online battle, if there's any legendary, that's kind of my thing.
Yeah,
it's like, I've got to figure out something to do with that. Recently, I actually recorded it. I haven't got it posted yet, but eventually it'll be posted on my channel. I actually recorded a battle where the other person has like 4 or 5 legendaries on their team.
Nice.
And they actually led off with an Arceus. And I led off with my Haxorus. So what I did was I was like, okay, I've got to knock this thing out quickly. I'm going to just lock myself into outrage and just hope for the best. And the Arceus was faster than me. But what he decided to do was Swords Dance. And my Haxorus was holding a Mirror Herb.
Oh, nice.
So as soon as I saw that, I was like, all right, this is it. I'm gonna sweep a bunch of Pokemon just with this outrage.
Yeah.
And Haxorus within the first 3 turns had knocked out half of his own team.
Yeah. Just punched a huge hole in his team. Yeah, that's incredible. That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
I will also say the items in this generation, the ones that they added in, were incredibly interesting. Like the Covert Cloak is a powerful item. The Mirror Herb is incredibly interesting when you can use it correctly.
Yeah.
I even think the Loaded Dice, I think we're going to see some more, like, I kind of think maybe in the future there's going to be some more niche usage for that as well. And so, like, that's been kind of fun to kind of see some of these new items pop out and really change the game as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like Mirror Herb's my favorite because your opponent thinks, "Oh, I'm just going to get a free setup," and then it's not so free after that.
Yeah,
100%.
Well, it's crazy because you get the boost and you can attack and you can attack at the same turn almost.
Yeah,
and that's just insane power. Like that's
or
so
you can
cool.
You can stack boost. I mean, like if you Mirror Herb a Swords Dance and then you like Dragon Dance that same turn, you're getting 3 attack boost and a speed boost, and the game's basically over. Like right there. Or you just punch a massive hole in their team and they have to play catch up. So that's super cool. It's fun to see those strategies, and I like it a lot. It's fun.
I also kind of want to go into the process of how you do look at a difficult situation that you're in. Like when you get kind of like backed in a corner or in a pickle, like what, if it's a bad type matchup, if it's, Mons, but with those stat boosts, let's say you don't have the mirror going on, right? Kind of like what are the thoughts, that you have going through your head? How do you kind of overcome those situations? We've kind of, had a lot of fun kind of hearing you kind of talk through your thoughts, in some of these videos. We're just kind of curious, what are kind of some of your philosophy or your process that you use in those situations?
Usually if I'm like in a situation where it's like, okay, I'm on the back foot, I'm going to have to, react instead of be proactive. I kind of look at my team and look at the opponent's team and kind of look at, all right, which Pokemon do I need to keep alive?
Yeah.
If I lose this Pokemon, does that mean I lose the game? And if so, I've got to make sure that Pokemon stays alive.
Yeah.
And then from there, I'm like, okay, which Pokemon can I stand to lose? Which one doesn't do anything for this game? Maybe I can, send them out, let them just go down, and then get a Pokemon that threatens them.
And forces them back, yeah.
So kind of try to find a way to, get more back on the offensive in that situation.
And surprisingly, I feel like that's a skill I know for myself, because in our draft, like I've started to learn that as well. And I feel like that's a skill that's really hard, like in some ways, to kind of pick up, because like sometimes I feel like in those frantic moments, because I mean, in this last battle with that Zygarde, he got set up on me and I got flustered, and I forgot to kind of take a step back as I've done in previous games, and so it's like you have to almost have like the calm mindset along with that foresight to say what pieces are left that I need. And so like that's a skill like all on its own, where it's like I can take a second here. I don't necessarily need to, I mean, I'm worried about the situation I'm in, but I can almost take a step back and see the big game, and then come back to this dangerous situation and try and get through what I need to do. So that's super cool.
Yeah. Especially with the game being so RNG heavy, like you can't get flustered too much when like obviously like RNG is not going to go your way every time. That's the nature of RNG in and of itself. So just learning to kind of like realize the risks you're taking and what could happen at any given turn, and just realize like, hey, there's a 10% chance I'm going to get burned if I stay in and take this, this flamethrower right here. And you kind of got to play with that. And it's I get that's what makes a difference between a good and a great competitive player is risk management. What do my margins look like? How close can I get to those margins and things like that? So it's cool. I mean, there's a lot of guys I watch on YouTube who are doing some of these like highlighting specific strategies or Pokemon on Scarlet Violet battles, and it's fun to hear that, because that's one thing that makes I think Pokemon so fun, is that there's a meta, there's these high usage mons, but like, if someone's like putting up a video where they're like, hey, I'm going to highlight Chestnut, for example, on this, or like, hey, I'm going to rock Hisuian Typhlosion Choice Scarf, I'm like, oh, that's fun. I've never seen that before. Let's run with it and see what that looks like. So I think that's one thing that, that really drew us towards your content and things like that. So, I mean, there's someone else I'm watching right now, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to rock Alolan Golem right now and do like galvanized explosion strats, like an electric explosion. Yeah. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like that, I want to see what that looks like. So, that's fun.
See, I like to use some Pokemon that are a lot of times overlooked. Um,
Mhm.
See, I don't know if Hisuian Typhlosion is as overlooked as Johto Typhlosion, but I
Yeah.
know back when I did draft leagues, I would oftentimes um, lean towards, okay, I want Typhlosion on the team just because it's my favorite, and I feel like
Yeah.
I
Uh-huh.
can get some wins and victories for Typhlosion and make it look good on the statistics.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would often try to set it up so that way when I got Typhlosion in, I could just go Eruption and just knock out so many and have,
Yeah.
okay, here's Typhlosion's kill count. It's up here with the best in the league.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Typhlosion is an interesting competitive Pokemon because like there's not Eruption is such a unique move because I think only maybe 2 to 3 Pokemon lines get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Torkoal's one of them.
Torkoal
I think
gets it.
Entei might get it.
Yeah.
Here,
But
I'm about to
then
pull it up while you're saying.
Typhlosion gets it, and Typhlosion is so quick and strong
Mm-hmm.
that it's kind of like almost like an alternate version of what Torkoal is.
Yeah.
Where because Torkoal's slow and like so Trick Room is generally where you want to, Trick Room or and I mean I don't know if Torkoal gets nearly as much play in the singles format. I
Mm-hmm.
know in VGC definitely is where you're going to see Torkoal more. But it's just an interesting thing to kind of see that dynamic with Typhlosion and to see those strats like where because you can do that because it gets a lot of coverage too, like it gets like extra sensory.
You get
Mm-hmm.
It
Earth
gets
Power too, don't you?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I want to say you do. I could be wrong on that, but I know Typhlosion does get some good coverage.
Get some
And
decent
I
moves.
just looked it up on Bulbapedia right now. Just the Typhlosion line, including Hisuian gets it, Entei gets it, Camerupt gets it, Torkoal and Groudon, and that's it.
Well,
And I
that's
think
it.
competitively, like if you go and smoke, I feel like Typhlosion is really the only one that like runs that because obviously you got to have the health to keep that base power high. Torkoal's not going to make that happen. Groudon's more physical anyways. So I mean
Yeah.
really like Typhlosion's the only one that can like viably run that. So that's cool. It has
Mhm.
again, that's the cool thing about this all is that each Pokemon has its little niche that you can do with that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And they have like even if it's not a Pokemon that people see as, okay, this is a great competitive Pokemon, sometimes they have like a little wrinkle or a little niche that they can find themselves fitting in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. That's fun. Well, awesome. Well, it's been really fun to dive into a lot of your content and kind of get behind the brain and everything. And to kind of wrap things up, we have a couple more fun sections. We have a
Okay.
rapid fire round and then our shower thought section. So rapid fire, these are just some kind of quick questions where just off the top of your head, off the hip, what's the first thing that comes to mind? And I got the first little batch, and then Logan's got one for you too. So here we
Okay.
go. First one I got for you. Which games have the best rival?
Which games
In
have
your
the
opinion?
best rival? So when you say rival in Generation 9, which characters would you count as rivals?
Up to you.
Um,
Up to
However you see it.
yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I would say Generation 9 if we can count, Arvin, Penny, and Nimona,
Yeah.
because they all have their own character arc throughout the entire game, and I feel like a lot of rivals don't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, here you've got 3 rivals, and each of them have their own character arc, and at the end,
Mhm.
they're not necessarily in the same place they were in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
That's
And
a good choice.
I think Arvin's. I mean, I think Arvin's story, like, and even Penny's story is really interesting too. And so, I mean, like, I haven't gotten Namona's story like is really good as well. But I just I kind of hit like I felt really good with Arvin's like story.
Yeah.
He had
Yeah.
a really fun kind of development, and it just like I agree with you. It really does like a good showcase of character arcs and storytelling through them.
Yeah.
And plus Arvin, you've got kind of that tragic backstory of,
Oh my gosh.
of his parents, either you're playing as Scarlet and it's his mother, or, Violet and his father, and you find out at the end,
Yeah.
the professor, his father, his mother, they died.
Right. Well, and then on top of
Which
that, of
is
course, he has the whole thing with his Mabostiff too. And
Yeah.
as a dog owner, I know when his story, his arc started cropping up, I'm like, oh no, this is going to be hard because I
Yeah.
mean it's cool. He makes for a fun, yeah. And Logan, what were you saying?
I was just gonna say, like, I mean, that makes like that's a definitely kind of going back to what Josh was saying, at the beginning with some of those anime things where it's like the people just like it definitely is more of a mature theme that we've probably ever seen in a Pokemon game, kind of similar to Gen 5 storyline, right? And it's just like like levels of thought and it's thought provoking. It's you see that really good character development with Arbin, and I really want to try one of his sandwiches. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I don't think you get to eat the sandwich at all, do you? It's like your Pokemon, your Miraidon or Koraidon eats every single one that's prepared for you, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I know. I feel bad. I'm like, just let him have some. It's okay.
Yeah.
So, nice. All right. Next one I got for you though. Which games have the best Elite Four or coolest Elite Four or most challenging? However you want to frame that. Who has the best Elite Four in your opinion?
The best Elite Four.
And however you define that, yeah, whether it's cool designs, fun battles, atmosphere, I don't know, could be anything.
Yeah, I think I really like the Elite Four in X and Y because their rooms are like themed.
Yeah,
they have such a strong theming for their types.
I like that.
It's a good choice.
Yeah. Do you count the champion in that too, or just the Elite Four?
I almost see the champion as like separate. Yeah, I mean you probably can, but I think a lot of champions have like pretty distinct vibes from the rest of the.
That's true.
But I guess they're all technically the Pokemon League, so yeah, they're all grouped together anyways. But
yeah, I was gonna say, if we're looking at the champion, I think the most challenging champion is Cynthia.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Yeah,
she's like really powerful and strong.
Yeah, the level spike. I know, when I was a kid, on like level 66 Garchomp. I know they brought it down a couple of levels in Platinum, but the OG Diamond, just vanilla Diamond and Pearl, her ace is it's level 66, right? The Garchomp, I want to say.
I think so. Yeah,
it's pretty high. Like it's like a pretty significant difficulty spike in my opinion of those games, and I was like, dude, wow, that's kind of insane. So, yeah, I think that's a really good choice. We were talking about this in a previous episode, but a random Elite Four member that we really like and we want to know more about is Drake from Hoenn. Drake is just a total Chad, where he's got like the sailor's cap. He's who Lance thinks Lance is. Like he's got like the big sailor's coat. He's not even wearing a shirt underneath, but he's like an old guy in his 60s or 70s, and he's just rocking it. And he has, he's got the Kingdra, he's got the Salamence, he's got the Flygon and everything. So
I'd love to hear more about his backstory.
I know, right? Yeah, what's he been up to in his life? He's probably seen some crazy stuff.
Man.
That would be cool for like that What If anime series.
Yeah.
There we go. Follow the gym leaders, and that'd be really cool. Like almost like a gym leaders prequel series, like where we get to follow each of the gym leaders in their stories. That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Or like the Elite Four members.
Sweet. Well, I got one more, which is the best for you, and then Logan's got a rapid fire question for you. Which games have the best or your favorite enemy team?
The best or my favorite enemy team? Let's see here. I think Team Rocket still holds like a
classic,
top spot because it's so iconic. Plus, thinking about Team Rocket, even in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, they come back as Rainbow Rocket, where it's like that What If multiverse where they've achieved their goals, and not only that version of Giovanni is recruiting all the other villainous characters in this multiversal, jumping around different timelines, trying to conquer the multiverse.
Right.
I really like that because I feel like Giovanni, like obviously, like it's like definitely more, like mafia like vibes, right? But like it really shows the ambition of Giovanni to where it's like he's gonna capture strong Pokemon. He's got his underworld like control, but he's not stopping there. Like he's like in the Rainbow Rocket storyline, you see if he could do it, he'd get to the top. He'd start and he's dynamic enough to where the other leaders are like, Giovanni, I'm on your side. Like we'll join forces at least, and like so he's a pretty intense guy,
Yeah, it's crazy that with such a simple character design, because they were limited in Generation 1 and what they could make them look like, they're still able to create such an intense character where when you see, you know, all these other villainous characters following him, you believe it because he's just got that intensity to him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
100%. I like that answer a lot.
Yeah.
My rapid fire question for you really quick is going to be, what is your favorite Hisuian starter in the competitive scene?
In the competitive scene, I think I'm leaning towards Typhlosion just because, you know, it's my favorite,
Nice.
and you know, of course, I've got biases because of that. I do see how useful Samurott is with its ceaseless edge, and it can set up spikes just by, you know,
Yeah.
hitting
Yep.
someone with that. But I still feel like, you know, Typhlosion is still the one that I would put up there. Not only because it's my favorite, but it improves all the things that Typhlosion really needed. You know, normal Typhlosion, it
Yeah.
really needed that boost in special attack to be that much more of a threat. Here, it
Yeah.
gets that boost.
Yep.
You also got
Definitely.
Inferno March, which is a really it's like Hex and Will-O-Wisp, right? Basically.
It's like Hex, but it's like Hex and Scald because it's got the 30%
Oh, okay.
chance to burn, but then it's got the power boost if they're status, right?
Yeah, I think it gets that boost. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I just know
it's
it's like a
a crazy
hybrid of a
move.
couple different moves, but then yeah, it's such a good move.
Mhm.
That's and I've noticed also in some of your. I mean, I think one thing I've loved about Legends Legends Arceus was a phenomenal game in and of itself, but like the Pokemon, I think they killed it. I know it's
Yeah.
a different studio that produced that game, and whatever they did, they had a super fresh look on a lot of these new forms. It just because a lot of these guys in Gen 9 in the mainline series games are like have this huge splash and niche in the competitive scene. Like Sneasler just got banned in Gen 9 OU.
Yeah.
Sneasler's
Yeah.
insane. And then the like Hisuian Braviary is awesome with Esper Wing, like such a cool move. And then there's Ursa Luna. Like I don't know, I think there's some really awesome,
really
awesome
strong
mons that have
ones.
come out of that. Yeah. So
Yeah, plus Cleavor, I
yeah,
love using
Cleavor too.
Yeah, because it's like Stone Axe, you've got Stealth Rocks, you've got a strong hitting move, and then it's got really good attack, so you could do so much with it.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, iconically, the rock and bug typing is actually pretty good, like offensively and defensively. Like it's not bad. It does a really good job that way too. Like it was interesting to me to kind of see that in Scizor,
Yep.
kind of comparatively. Like it's really cool.
Yeah, that's dope. Sweet. Well, we're going to head into our final section now, which is our shower thoughts. Shower thoughts are the random miscellaneous Pokemon thoughts that will come to your head over the course of the day. You're in the shower, you're driving to work, you're making dinner, whatever, and you're like, hey, what if Pokemon did this? Or what if this happened? Or whatever.
Yeah.
So we got a couple of those for you. And, of course, we'll chime in with some fun thoughts as well. My first one for you is if you could add a new type to the games, what would it be? And what would be its offensive and defensive capabilities? Like I've seen people like say like, what if there's like a light type or a sound type or something like that? Is there something that you've always kind of thought of or that you'd toss into that ring?
I've actually never thought of that. Yeah, I've actually never thought of that. Maybe like a cyber type for Porygon, because
that's cool.
Yeah, because I mean, looking at that thing, it's a normal type, but it doesn't really feel like a normal type because it's supposed to be like computer generated.
Yeah,
that's cool. I actually really like a digital type or something like that. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
And you could fit a lot of like electric Pokemon in that. Like Rotom could be like because it's a ghost type, but it could also be that digital like type. Because Rotom's a really interesting character in that universe because it basically goes into technology, and that feels cybery to me, or like digitally focused. And then you could get I feel like Genesect could really benefit from that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that a lot.
One I'm surprised they haven't done yet, which I guess it might be a little too similar to flying, or I don't know, maybe they could do some more distinction between the two. But we have ground and rock for earth, we have fire, we have water, but we don't have a wind type.
Yeah,
I would love to see wind or something like that, and maybe do some delineation between that and flying type, because obviously there's some crossover there. But I think you could do some unique stuff with wind and have it super effective against fire or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know, something cool. But
yeah, that does sound cool. Yeah, and maybe have it super effective against flying, because if you're trying to fly, and the wind picks up.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's really good.
I like that a lot.
Sweet.
My shower thought for you, my friend, is what Pokemon do you think needs an evolution? So, like a Gen 4, we got Electabuzz to Electivire, we got Magmar to Magmortar. Is there any Pokemon that you feel like needs an evolution?
Um, I feel like they've been really good about going back and giving evolutions to some of these,
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon that really, really do need them. I think a good one would probably be like Pseudo-Wudo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
That's really
Oh
good.
yeah, that's a great one.
it really doesn't do much competitively. I've seen some people use it, but I feel like that's one Pokemon that could really use an evolution.
That's
Yeah,
such a good one.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
I think.
oh yeah, you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I was going to say I think it'd be cool if they kind of take it as it's trying to imitate a grass type, and its evolution be rock and grass because maybe it grows moss on itself or something like that.
That's
I love that.
cool.
Well, I was
Almost
gonna
like
say
a
on that.
petrified tree or something.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I was gonna say on that, and a lot of ROM hacks out there have Pseudo-Wudo not only buffed and stronger, but rock and
Mhm.
grass type. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, just give him an evolution and have obviously the stats be better, and give him that typing, give him a super cool ability like I don't know, like
Mhm.
Sap Sipper. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think that's a really good one. Logan, do you have any
It's
that you've kind of thought of?
yeah, I can tell you one, but I can also
Yeah,
I
what were
was
you
also
gonna say?
gonna,
Yeah.
just going to say that when you give those Pokemon like Sudowoodo or things like that were the full evolution 2, it really makes Eviolite an interesting because it doesn't just make like the new Pokemon viable, it can possibly make the old Pokemon viable as well, and that's really cool to me. I've always thought that Jinx needs something. I feel like
Yeah.
it's we have that trio there of we kind of have that trio of Jinx, Magmar, and
Yeah.
whatever. Sorry, I'm thinking Electivire. Um,
Mhm.
but
Electabuzz, yeah.
Electabuzz,
Yeah.
that's the name. And they all got babies in the second game, but then for some reason Jinx didn't get anything, but Tangela did, which I
Yeah.
think Tangrowth is a really good one.
Yeah.
I'm kind of also trying to think of probably like Noctowl might be a good option, or like
Yeah, that's a good
Furret.
one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Just kind of give those lines a little bit more buffs,
More
but
power.
other
Yeah.
than that,
Mhm.
yeah. So I think those would be the ones I would choose. And
What?
kind of, I've also thought it'd be really cool to give like Mighty Inna like a werewolf evolution.
Dude,
Ooh.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good one. Yeah.
I love Mightyena anyways. That's one of my favorite Pokemon ever, Mightyena. Well, so,
Yeah.
kind of going piggybacking off of your like Noctowl one of my favorite regional birds is Swellow, but for whatever reason, Noctowl and Swellow are only 2-stage evolution lines, whereas everyone else gets 3 stages. And I'm like, Swellow's so cool, but it just doesn't have the power that a fully evolved 3-stage evolution line would have. So
Mhm.
I would love to see Swellow get some love as well because I think it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think Noctowl, if it had an evolution, that would be a good one with Eviolite.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
because it's
mhm.
already like it's already like solid. I'm gonna look up its
Well,
its
it can
numbers
get
as well really
screens
quick.
and stuff too. Like it could be really bulky, and you could get Roost on there. That'd be really
Yeah.
interesting.
That'd be a really good
Yeah.
one.
Noctowl already has 100 base HP and 96 special defense. So if you toss an Eviolite on that, that's a bulky boy special
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's
I like
really
I like I
cool.
like the thought process. That's good stuff.
Mhm.
Sweet.
He's already going competitive side, man. He's like, okay,
Yeah.
Noctowl.
He's already building teams out and everything. I love it.
Yeah,
Sweet.
that would be a great Pokemon to put.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
I agree.
Nice.
I agree.
Sweet. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Honestly, I mean, I almost want to keep going for another hour or two, but obviously it's getting late and got to end it at some point. But that just goes to show how fun it's been to chat with you, pick your brain, and ultimately, like we said at the beginning, it's just fun to talk Pokemon. Again, this is the stuff that we could go on for 3 or 4 hours about, not just 1 hour. So, we again want to give you praise. Like I said, we came across you. It's clear you have a lot of passion for what you do and what you're pumping out. It's cool to see the consistency, the quality, even with the ups and downs of figuring out whatever the heck YouTube is and how it spits people out. It's really cool to see the care that you're putting into it and the consistency, like I was saying. So we wanted to definitely give you your praise. We'll plug everything for you in the description as well. We're growing ourselves. We've talked to some really good creators over the last couple of months. So before we leave you, do you have anything you can plug? Anything that you can maybe tease here that you're going to be looking to pump out over the next couple of weeks? Any future projects? And then leave us also with some nuggets of wisdom, whether that's wisdom about life, about Pokemon, about content creation. Leave us with some wisdom for the people as well.
All right. So yeah, certain things that I've got coming out soon. Of course, I'm currently working on the water type gym challenge. That's the current thing I'm working on. Plus, when the Indigo disc comes out, I will be playing that.
Very
So
fun.
I'll do a series on that, and then eventually I do want to finish up the Generation 5 and get Pokemon Black 2 played.
Yeah.
Currently, what I'm doing right now is kind of trying to think what Pokemon do I want to use that I haven't really used before. That's kind of the thing that I'm wanting to do with this playthrough is like, okay, what have I not used, and how can I put that onto the team?
Right.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's great.
That's the main thing that the upcoming projects I've got. Of course, I'm always doing like battle videos because those are always fun to just jump on, grab a battle whenever you can.
Yeah.
Try out some Pokemon you haven't tried in a while. So I always think that's fun. And my biggest nugget was my wisdom nugget would probably be, whoever your favorite Pokemon is, they have a niche out there. You just have to find it.
Yeah,
I love
that. That's so
Yeah.
good. That's good stuff. Well,
Yeah.
We'll leave it on that awesome note. We echo that as well. Whoever that is, whether it's an Ambipom, whether it's Dedenne, a Pyukumuku, or whether it's Mewtwo himself, there's something for your favorite Pokemon out there.
Yeah.
So we love that. Well, hey, again, it's been an absolute pleasure. Like I said, we'll plug all of your stuff in the description. Go give MrChabry some love, subscribe to him, keep an eye on what he's going to be pumping out, as well as keep an eye on us. We're going to be pumping out some more stuff as well, in addition to interviews, hopefully getting a Discord server up soon for people to come in and just chat about Pokemon. But until then, again, it's been an absolute pleasure. And this is Josh, Logan, and MrChabry with Skill Link signing out.
See you guys.
Thank you, guys.